Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my YouTube family. Today I'm here to teach you subject current affairs. And the topic of discussion is Ukraine Russia. First, we must understand the history of the relationship between two countries. Ukraine was the part of USSR till 1991, and USSR disintegrated into 15 states, and Russia is one of them. The crisis in Ukraine began in the capital city of Kiev in November 2013. Ukrainian President Viktor decision to reject great economic integration with European Union after violent crackdown. This conflict established President Yanukovych fled the country in February 2014. Russian troops took control Ukraine Crimea regions before formally annexing voted to join the Russian annexing federations. Russian President Vladimir and Russian citizens and Russian speakers in Crimea and southeast Ukraine. The crisis highlighted ethnic divisions into 2 months later pro-Russian separatists. In July 2014, the situation in Ukraine into an international crisis and put into state and European Union at odds with Russia and Malaysian Airlines. Since February 2015, France, Germany, Russia, and Ukraine attempt a broker violence through a Minsk Accords effort to such a diplomatic settle. Now we discuss recent development and armed conflict. Armed conflict in Ukraine quickly transitioned with regular shellings. Separate Ukraine recent development and armed conflict. Armed conflict in Ukraine settlement with regular shelling and Ukraine controlled border region in the east. Russia launched full-scale military into Ukraine on February 24, 2022. Fighting are hundreds of civilians, including Poland and NATO country where US troops and preparing to offer assistance. In October 2021, Russia moving troops and military equipments near its border. Russia-Ukraine border set of demand calling for United States and NATO and Ukraine from joining NATO in future. Russian demands rejected by the US and the NATO allies to impose sanctions in case of Russia. United States sent military assistance to Ukraine in 2022. Negotiations between the United States, Russia and European powers result in the resolution on February 24. Pre-war internal realities of Ukraine. Few years increasing demographic, political, economic across Ukraine. Ukraine divided into three parts. Eastern Ukraine with communist, Western Russian influence and Western Central Ukraine. Ukraine process of transformation demographically. Eastern Ukraine was still under the strong influence of Moscow. Western Ukraine was setting by West. This is through education, economic, communism. Eastern part of Ukraine, capitalism dominates in western and central part. Society of Ukraine was tilting toward western. Eastern Ukraine in favor of authoritarian regimes, and western and central Ukraine population wanted western form of democracy. And between the parliament led by PM and the president, political structure of Ukraine, parliament has tilted toward Europe, while president of Ukraine till 2014 influenced by Russia. So society was transforming in Ukraine from Russia. In pre-war internal reality of यूक्रेन we learn लास्ट कुछ साल से जो एक यूक्रेन है वो डिवाइड हो गया है 3 पार्ट्स में, ईस्टर्न, वेस्टर्न एंड सेंट्रल. जो ईस्टर्न यूक्रेन है वो कम्युनिस्ट के साथ है, कम्युनिस्ट एंड रशियन इन्फ्लुएंस के साथ. जो वेस्टर्न है एंड जो सेंट्रल यूक्रेन है वो जो है प्रोसेस ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन में है. और जो यूक्रेन है वो इंक्रीजिंगली बाय वेस्ट की तरफ जा रहा है. और जो वेस्ट है वहाँ पे एजुकेशन, इकोनॉमी, कम्युनिज़म डोमिनेंट है. ईस्टर्न पार्ट जो है यूक्रेन का, वहाँ पे कैपिटलिज्म है. यूक्रेन क्राइसिस एंड पाकिस्तान. Pakistan present 3 points to address ongoing Russia-Ukraine crisis. The 3 steps include ceasefire negotiations, implementations on previous agreement, permanent representative at the United Nations. Munir Akram maintained that Pakistan wants consistency in the implementation of the principle of the UN Charter. Pakistan's decisions to maintain the Prime Minister visit was sound given the fact, and similarly our decisions to abstain was a logical choice following the Chinese and the Indian vote in the Security Council. Pakistan in January 1980 led country to negotiations a resolution in the Security Council on the Soviet military interventions in Afghanistan. Successfully, foreign troops, official criticism of the US, Iraq in 2003, American investigations in Israel and Libya are important, but nations weight their core interest when tracking decisions are fraught. Their communications, the Foreign Office was no similar action in New Delhi. How could they entertain great expectation from Islamabad given their oppositions to Pakistan interest in FATF? We should maintain a clear emphasis in our statement in support of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity and evidence. Ukraine crisis and Pakistan. Pakistan present 3 points: negotiations, implementations on previous agreement, ceasefire. And Munir Akram maintained Pakistan wants consistency, implement the principle of UN Charter. Pakistan present a 3 point to address Russia-Ukraine crisis: ceasefire, negotiations, implementations on the previous agreement. Pakistan wants consistency in the implementations of the principle, and Pakistan decisions to maintain Prime Minister visit was sound given the fact for years Pakistan trying to inject trust and facility in our relation with Moscow. इसी तरह से जो डिसीजंस हैं वो अब्सटेन हैं लॉजिकल चॉइस पे, जिसमें से China's and India vote in Security Council, Pakistan been fairly decisions when a situation involved major power in January 1980 as a lead country to negotiate a resolution in the Security Council. Successfully resisted naming the Soviet Union and asked for the withdrawal of foreign troops. And criticism of UN invasions of Iraq in 2003 for the American in Syria, Libya, and fought in critical situations. Equal they entertain great expectation from Islamabad given opposite for Pakistan interest in FATF and regardless of the indiscretions which only deserve are reposed by the Foreign Office. We should maintain a clear emphasis in our statement in support of Ukraine's Soviet and territorial integrity and evidence of. Okay. Are there any opportunities for Pakistan? Yes, geopolitical to both Russia and China enhance, especially trade and communicational corridor. Afghanistan remain an obstacle, unlike other countries. Provide us with oil. We will need capacities to build national strength. Lastly, Pakistan is safe today because nuclear deterrence is an integral part of its security. And relationship between Islamabad and Moscow is without significant scarcities. Pakistan alignment with US during the Cold War, Soviet troops in Afghanistan in 1980, Russia close defense with Pakistan. And there is much reasons both political and economic for Pakistan. Current Pakistani leadership looking urgently stabilize the country inflation, hit economic by increasing domestic, attracting foreign investment to achieve economic goals. This desire to maintain peaceful relations, Pakistani government expressed commitments in rebanding of the country trade routes through ports of Karachi, Gwadar. Both Pakistan and China maintain projects and routes will remain regionally exclusive. Government aspiration from regional integrations for better relations. Integration even contain tentative provisions for better relations with the India. The document remaining the country partnership with Russia's energy, defense, investment. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif decisions to go forward with the scheduled meeting and demonstrate his desire. Russia versus Ukraine and the role of US. Russia military invasions Ukraine on February 24, 2022 and special military operation by Russian President. The scope of the offensive demonstrations, this is a war. After only a week of combat, hundreds of civilians have been killed and more than half a million Ukrainians have been forced to evacuate their homes. Roots of Ukraine crisis, irredentist claims of Russia. War between Ukraine and Russia. When Russia invaded annexed the Russian-backed separatist control of area of South Ukraine, fully comprehend backdrop, it's necessary to travel even further back in time. When Europe commentary divided first emerged to see how the impact Europe power balance. Current country had the world third biggest nuclear arsenal when Soviet Union disintegral. Russia grabbed Crimean Peninsula and backed pro-Russia rebels in the Donbass. This war is about Ukraine's future. Ukraine provides a border platform for Russia. For Putin, these are not insignificant goals and decisions. The only way to achieve them to launch another incursions into Ukraine. European refugees crisis response for Western allies. Second is stance of United States and NATO. Putin's decisions attack Ukraine probably by the fact Ukraine into a member of NATO. Russia commander-in-chief, aware that face no opposition from other nation armies,